What is going on, YouTube? This is your boy Blake Got Takes, and I'm here with my second video. As y'all can tell, we're already making moves, bro. We got the watermark gone from the last video. We found a new application. We're running things better than ever. I'm trying to upgrade this channel, really get things moving, make some good content for y'all. And with that, I'm going to be jumping into my Eastern Conference predictions for this year's NBA season. Right before we get into that, though, I want to shout out the Atlanta Braves for hitting the walk-off last night, their second walk-off of the series against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Really good game last night. I know I said I was going to talk about the NBA, but I wanted to briefly mention the baseball side of things real quick. I just want to talk about it as much as I can. I watched the game last night. Really good. Last time the Braves were up against the Dodgers, however, they blew a 3-1 lead. So just cross our fingers that don't happen again. And let's get into these NBA predictions. Right here, I got my 15th, 14th, and 13th seeds. We're jumping right into it here with the Cavaliers at the 15th seed, the Pistons at the 14th seed, and the Magic at the 13th seed. These can move and switch around based on who gets hurt, who's playing well. I think the Pistons could easily be like a borderline play-in team at the 10th seed or the 9th seed even maybe. I'm not sure, but my prediction is that they're going to struggle a little bit. Jeremy Grant's going to do his thing. They need Killian Hayes to develop a little bit more. I actually think I might put them over the Magic at the 13th seed. But either way, I think these teams could fluctuate all year. You never really know. And they could even jump up. But for right now, my predictions are the 15th seed being the Cleveland Cavaliers, 14th seed the Pistons, and the 13th seed the Orlando Magic. At the 12th seed, as much as I'd hate to do it, I'm going to throw my Charlotte Hornets in here. They had a good offseason, in my opinion. We've just looked really, really, really bad during the preseason. And a lot of teams got a lot better from last year. In the Eastern Conference, it's going to be tough sledding this year for every single team. It's going to come down to the real nitty-gritty and players being healthy, like Gordon Hayward. It's going to come down to that. It's going to come down to guys like Kai Jones developing. It's going to come down to guys like Miles Bridges doing his thing, doing everything. It's going to come down to guys like Terry Rozier hitting the game-winning shots. And those game-winning shots are going to be crucial this year. It's going to come down to guys like Kai Jones being the center that this team needs. They haven't seen it from him yet so far in the preseason, but maybe with more opportunity, more minutes, a better understanding of the game flow, he could do a lot better in the NBA regular season, and I'm going to predict him to be at the 12th seed. However, I think they could be a play-in team. It's going to be tough, but I think that the Charlotte Hornets, with maybe an injury on another team, or if they come out hot, I think building up some momentum, they could be easily a play-in team like last year. Just hopefully the result like last year doesn't happen. They got absolutely torched. At the 11th seed, I got the Toronto Raptors. I like what the Toronto Raptors got going on, man. They just lost the greatest Raptor of all time in Kyle Lowry. I think it's about time for him to go, though. You can debate me on that, by the way. Kyle Lowry is the greatest Raptor of all time. I'm a UNC fan myself. A lot of people would say Vince Carter. Vince Carter's the most iconic Raptor of all time, but he's not the greatest one. In terms of tenure, statistics, rings, Kyle Lowry is the greatest Raptor of all time, in my opinion. But I like what they got going on already. Without him, they got Malachi Flynn to step into that role and run the point. He can get you buckets. He can facilitate. He can do a lot. He could easily average 20 points per game this year. They got OG Anunoby still there, one of the greater 3-and-D wings in the league. They brought in Scotty Barnes, who's going to bring high energy, high defense, Ben Simmons type of mold. He's going to do a lot of good things for them. I didn't even mention Fred VanVleet, who's going to he might run the two for them or the one. Him and Malachi Flynn are going to be a good duo. Chris Boucher's there. They're going to have a really good team, good young team. However, I think it is going to be like a development year for them. They could easily be an 8 seed in my eyes. But I think it's going to take them a while to get the glue going. And I'm predicting it's going to be like a development year, not necessarily an off year or a bad year for the Toronto Raptors, but a development year to make sure these young guys know how to play together, know their roles. And then next year, I think they'll be probably up in the 8 seed or more. At the 10 seed or the first play-in spot, I have the Washington Wizards. They brought in a lot of just like talent this year from the Los Angeles Lakers. They brought in Kyle Kuzma. They brought in KCP, who's pictured. They brought in Montrezl Harrell. Brought in Spencer Dinwiddie. Brought in a lot of guys who can just come in and do the little things. Like you got Bradley Beal, who's going to give you everything you want and more offensively. He could easily repeat his. He could easily go for the scoring title again this year, averaging his normal 30+. You have Spencer Dinwiddie there to run the one. I think Rui Hachimura is due for a really good season, actually. You got Davis Bertans there. Also, be looking out for a video on early predictions for awards. I think Rui Hachimura is one of those guys who could have a breakout season and potentially be most improved player. I saw a lot of good things from him out of the FIBA World Cup, the FIBA tournament they had. He was really good for that Japanese team. He is poised for, like, with more minutes, I think that he will have a huge impact on this team going forward, and I think they'll be pretty good. I think they'll be able to make it into the play-in like they did last year. Maybe sneak a few games out of a series if they make it past the play-in. I'm not exactly sure if they're primed for a deep playoff push, but I think they'll be a good team, fun team to watch. At the 9 seed, I have the Indiana Pacers. The Pacers are a team to me that are always going to be solid. They don't necessarily strive to be the best team in the NBA, but they're always cool with being content, in my opinion. They're dropping to the 9 seed for me, which they could easily be a 7 seed in my eyes. They got guys like Malcolm Brogdon, Miles Turner, Sabonis, Karis LeVert. Brought in Chris Duarte out of college, who's probably going to be a really good player. Just straight off the gate, I think he's 25 years old. He's experienced. He's gonna adapt to the game a lot quicker than most rookies in my eyes. They could be a really good team this year. They could be a team that's looking to sell though. However, if the right package comes in for Ben Simmons, Malcolm Brogdon could be on the move. A player like Miles Turner could be on the move at the midseason. I'm not sure, but either way, I think they will be a really solid team. They have a lot of good pieces right now, and they'll continue to be that solid 4 to 8, 9 range that they always are, and they probably always will be. They brought in Rick Carlisle as a coach, and that's a good move. They're going to be the Pacers. That's the way I describe it. They're going to be the Pacers. At the 8 seed, I have the New York Knicks. It's tough putting them this low after the season they had last year. I think they finished with home court advantage. I think they were the 4 seed. But somebody's got to fall, and they made improvements this year. However, I think that the teams ahead of them made improvements that benefited their team more and or just were better improvements. They brought in Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier, who were going to do things that they were missing last season, like shot creation and facilitating and shooting. Shooting specifically, they really struggled shooting. They got guys like RJ Barrett, who hopefully will continue to develop. Needs to develop that right hand more. Needs to develop his 3-pointer more. He's got all the other stuff. He can drive. He can hit that mid range. He's like a mini DeMar DeRozan in his Toronto days. I think the Knicks are going to be a really good team. They can push up towards the 4 seed. I don't think they'll be in the top 4 this year again, unless injuries happen, of course, or a team severely falls off that I was not expecting. But the playoff spot is just fine for the Knicks. Maybe that's what they need. Last year they got humbled severely by the Atlanta Hawks. Trey owned them. Maybe they need a little humbling. Make a solid playoff spot. Have less hype, and then just go on a run. And with Julius Randle playing much better, he struggled last year in the playoffs. Other than that, though, I think they'll finish in the 8th seed, which still isn't bad for them. It's just a slight slip. Not necessarily their fault. It's just all the other teams around them got a lot better. At the 7th seed, I'm rocking with the Boston Celtics. I think they are poised for a really good year this year. They were kind of disappointing last year. They've tried a bunch of different experiments, whether it be Kemba Walker, Kyrie Irving, et cetera, et cetera. They're finally just giving the keys to Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and just saying, "Go with it, full gas. We're gonna give y'all y'all got the reins. We don't really need like that third guy." But they also brought in a perfect third guy, Dennis Schroeder. He was really good for the Lakers last season, kind of fumbled it all in the playoffs. However, he's kind of like that perfect three guy who he's not going to do. He's going to do little things to win you the game, but he's not going to need the ball all the time. He's not going to ball hog. He's going to get his teammates going. He doesn't perform as well in the spotlight, in my opinion. He's kind of like an underground guy, low-key guy that just kind of does his thing, lets the stars do their thing. When he's relied on too much, he seems to struggle, in my opinion. But, I mean, that's perfect situation. Jaylen Brown's due for a breakout season, in my opinion, and Jason Tatum. I think Jason Tatum could very well be in MVP talks this year if he keeps growing, keeps developing his game along with Jaylen Brown. I think Jaylen Brown could easily be a 25-point per game scorer. Jason Tatum pushing towards 30, in my opinion. It's going to be a really good season for the Boston Celtics, I believe. They're still looking for that center, of course. They still have Peyton Pritchard there, so Dennis Schroeder doesn't necessarily have to start. He can come off the bench and do his thing, or he can start. They have a lot of different options they can run with, but Boston Celtics at the 7th seed. At the 6th seed, I have the Philadelphia 76ers. This is a team, in my opinion, that could easily fall down to like an 8 seed or maybe even a 9 seed, depending on what happens with Ben Simmons. And they could even jump up to like a 3 seed or a 4 seed, depending on what happens to Ben Simmons. The 76ers are the hardest team to predict right now. That's why I kind of put them in the playoffs, but not like a dominant team, but not like a lower tier team or like a mediocre team. They're a really good team. They just have a weird situation going on right now. I think if Ben Simmons plays, they can be anywhere in the 6-3 range. If Ben Simmons plays extremely good, they can easily be right there 3-4. Regular Ben Simmons, of course. I mean, they finished in the 1 seed last season with Ben Simmons playing just Ben Simmons basketball. So I couldn't see them changing too far and falling out of the playoffs. However, I do see them slipping a little bit. Their team chemistry is obviously damaged a little bit. However, if they want to make a move to send him to, like, say, Indiana for, like, Malcolm Brogdon and Karis LeVert and some picks or something along those lines, or they want to send him to the West and get C.J. McCollum in return, or if Dame wants to come out and request a trade, they send Ben Simmons and some picks for Damian Lillard. The Philadelphia 76ers can find themselves in a really good spot, especially if they get Damian Lillard. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens with the 76ers this year. I do think no matter what, they'll still be in the playoffs. They got a pretty decent coach in Doc Rivers. They have Joel Embiid, who's an MVP candidate every year. It's all about health for him and staying on the court. They got their key guys like Matisse Thybulle. We got Tyrese Maxey coming off his impressive year. I think he'll have a better role or a bigger role this year, and I think he'll perform in that. Other than that, though, we're going to move on to the 5 seed. The 76ers are my 6 seed. At my 5 seed, I have probably my most surprising pick so far. I'm rocking with the Chicago Bulls. I think the Chicago Bulls will be extremely good this year. They made a lot of big upgrades both last year and coming into this season. They brought in Vucevic, I think, like near the trade deadline last season, who is a center who is probably one of the better Magic players ever. He was absolutely monstrous for them. He just flew under the radar because the Magic have not been good in a really long time. He does everything. He shoots. He can rebound. He plays defense. He facilitates extremely well for a center of his size. He can post up. He can do it all. They bring in DeMar DeRozan, who's probably one of the better ISO players in the league. He gets to his spots. He hits his shots. Late game, he's a good guy to go to. He plays defense, good leader. DeMar DeRozan is everything they wanted and more in a player this season. They have Lonzo Ball, who can come in and run the one. He's going to be, in my opinion, he's going to be a really good player for them. I think he'll make every dollar worth it to them. I think he signed a 4-year, $80 million, I want to say, something like that. He's going to be extremely good for them. He's going to get open shots. He's going to hit those open shots. He's going to facilitate. He's going to run the floor. He's going to be really fun to watch with Zach LaVine and Vucevic, in my opinion. Lonzo Ball is going to have less pressure on him, and he'll have a lot more talent around him. So I see nothing but good for Lonzo Ball in the situation that he's in. They signed Alex Caruso to come in and play backup point guard. He's going to bring energy. He's going to bring defense. He's going to hit threes. He's going to run in transition. He's going to do it all. Alex Caruso is a really good, solid role player, especially for a team that was in need of role players. They can move Kobe White to the role that he should play, which is like a 6-man sort of role. Come in and be like your Lou Williams, your spark plug. He's always struggled to run that one throughout his career so far, but I think in the 6-man role he will succeed much better, and I think that's why the Chicago Bulls will be so good this year. They've kind of brought in pieces that they needed, and they are able to take the pieces that they had and move them into situations that benefit them the best. They did a really good job this offseason. I got them at the 5 seed. At the 4 seed, I'm going with the Atlanta Hawks. I think the Hawks are going to have another really impressive season. They re-signed John Collins to a huge contract. Still got Trae Young there, who's going to be playmaking. He's going to be really good. He's going to be making shots, drawing fouls, getting his teammates involved, getting into other teams' heads, hitting deep threes, doing all the things that you want out of him. They got guys like DeAndre Hunter coming back, who was hurt in the postseason last year, really hurt them. They got Cam Reddish, another year development, that 3-and-D wing that they really, really need, who can shoot the ball and do everything else. They got Danilo Gallinari still there. They have Clint Capella still there. They drafted Sharif Cooper, who's going to come in off the bench and be your spark plug. Throwing lobs to John Collins off the backboard. I think he threw one already in the preseason. That was pretty disgusting. He's going to score. He's going to be your 6th man. He's going to do really well in that role. They still have Okongwu, I believe that's how you pronounce it, as their backup center. He's going to be just as good as Clint Capella, if not better. He might even take that starting role this year. The Hawks have a really good young team. And especially after the run that they had last year, I think it'll only give them more confidence to want to achieve more. And the 4 seed sounds achievable, in my opinion. I think they could even push up higher. They could be one of those teams that really wants to strive and be that 1 seed. A lot of teams don't do that now, especially like the Bucks. They saw for many years that it's not all that worth it. But for a young team, it could give them a lot of confidence. However, I mean, the 4th seed is home court advantage in the playoffs. That's really all you need, and I think the Hawks are easily going to achieve that. At the 3 seed, I got the Miami Heat jumping up. Not that much further than they were last year. However, last year they got mollywopped in the playoffs by the Milwaukee Bucks. We saw probably the worst basketball we've ever seen out of Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler in the playoffs so far in their careers. Things just seemed out of sync. However, with Kyle Lowry coming in, the greatest Raptor of all time, I'll say it again. I'll say it once and I'll say it again. Kyle Lowry, greatest Raptor of all time. He's a winner. He brings in winning basketball. He's perfect for that culture. Perfect guy for Jimmy Butler to play alongside. He's going to run that pick and roll perfectly with Bam. They just signed Duncan Robinson to a huge contract, 5 years, $90 million. Tyler Hero's looking really good in the preseason so far. They got guys coming off the bench that are going to do good. The Heat are poised for a really good team and a really good year with maybe even a good playoff push. And that's why I had them at the 3 seed. At the 2 seed, I had the defending champion Milwaukee Bucks. I wanted to put them at the 1 seed so bad, but it's just hard to beat the Nets. But, I mean, also the 1 seed isn't everything. We saw last year the 76ers were the 1 seed, and where did that get them? The year before that, I think the Bucks were the 1 seed. Where did that get them? And maybe it's not the most beneficial to be the 1 seed because then you have so much more pressure on you to produce and to dominate. They walked in last year. They handled all their opponents pretty well. Had some close games. Won some close games. Got that tiny bit of luck that every team needs to win a finals. But I think they could easily repeat this year. The 2 seed is still really good. It's home court advantage in the playoffs. That's so crucially important. Every team wants that. You got Giannis Antetokounmpo, who's looking like he's gotten even better. He's gotten even better somehow, some way. He's gotten even better. He looking like he's developing a little bit of a jump shot. You still got Chris Middleton there for the fourth quarter, late game, clutch shots back and forth. Still got Drew Holiday there to clamp up, hit his threes. Still got Bobby Portis there to do all the dirty work that you need. Got Dante DiVincenzo coming back, who was hurt for a good amount last year in the playoffs, and he'll be coming back. He'll be strong. They'll be a strong team. Brought in some new additions, but really it's like the same. It's the same group going at it one more time, and they were really good. Like, you can't blame them, and especially if Giannis is going to come through with a jump shot. He don't need to have no tween behind the back dribble crossover step back three. He don't need to have that. If Giannis Antetokounmpo can just hit a consistent three-pointer, he'll be one of the most dominant players we've seen. He's bigger than you, he's stronger than you, he's taller than you, he's faster than you. If he can get a jump shot, he'll have everything. You won't be able to stop him. He'll be one of the more dominant players we've seen since like 2014 LeBron, maybe one of those LeBron years since LeBron really. But yeah, I think the Milwaukee Bucks will finish in the 2 seed. At my 1 seed, I have the Brooklyn Nets. With or without Kyrie, I think they will be the number 1 team in the conference and maybe even in the NBA. They are so talented, and they brought in more talent. That's just about as much as you need. They were about that far from going to the Eastern Conference Finals last year, and that says enough. They had no James Harden. They had no Kyrie. Well, they had James Harden, but they had like half James Harden. He was running on a bum leg. They'll have James Harden back fully healthy. They'll have Kevin Durant. They'll have LaMarcus Aldridge. They'll have Blake Griffin. They'll have Joe Harris, who was pretty terrible in the playoffs as well. They'll have Joe Harris. They'll have guys like Day'Ron Sharpe and Nicholas Claxton running the center, who I think will be an underrated center duo in the NBA. Day'Ron Sharpe out of UNC fell to them as well in the draft with Cam Thomas. I'll mention him in a minute. Day'Ron Sharpe, he's going to do everything they want off the bench as a center, especially when Nicholas Claxton has looked so good this last year. So I think they're poised for that center role. They're poised for a deep playoff run. They brought in Cam Thomas as well, who looks like he might be the best rookie so far in the preseason. He was the best scorer in general out of all of the college players last year. He kind of just fell into the laps of the Nets, and they were like, we already have the best scoring in the league. Why not bring in more? And that was a perfect pick for them, especially if Kyrie's not going to play. They brought in Patty Mills as well, whoever starts. Patty Mills, Kyrie Irving if he gets vaccinated, Cam Thomas, I think they'll be good. I think Cam Thomas, with the right opportunity, could be Rookie of the Year. He's just been that good so far in the preseason, and he's shown that he could be that good on a consistent basis in college. The Nets are going to be hard to stop this year. It's going to take injuries. It's going to take luck. It's going to take really good team play to beat the Nets. But I mean, anything can happen. Anything can happen in the NBA. And yeah, that's going to wrap it up for me, y'all. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what y'all want to see. I'm definitely going to be doing a Western Conference prediction as well. And then after that, I will be moving on to the early predictions for awards, MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, yada, yada, yada. All right. I appreciate y'all. Appreciate you for watching. Appreciate you for sticking with me. We're going to keep getting better on this channel. We're going to keep improving every single day. Going to keep grinding. And yeah, peace.